Forgot to add myself here, but another day, another moment, another few talking points we're here to talk about here. Day two of the round 16 at AFCON has come and went. We have two victors. Congratulations to Cameroon, as well as the host Morocco for making it through. But was it as easy as they wanted to? Was it as comfortable as they had hoped? Was it as convincing? We'll have to wait and see. And we'll talk about that as we go through, guys. Welcome to our day two of round of 16 recaps. Welcome to the Africans channel. We do primarily African and Canadian content in terms of soccer and football. So if you like either one, make sure you leave us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know who you liked, who impressed in today's matchups, as well as where you think they may have gone wrong on one side or the other. We had two victors, Morocco as well as Tanzania. And ultimately let us know what we are out that came through today. And let's get into that as we go. We're going to just switch the camera here. We'll go old school here. I know, a little bit too wide for it, but we will. Let me just adjust that here. So, as we said, we have two games to talk about today. We have Morocco versus Tanzania, and we have South Africa versus Cameroon. I'm going to start with South Africa versus Cameroon just because I think that game, the story is a lot simpler for me to digest as someone who did choose, and I did back South Africa to beat Cameroon in this matchup just because I felt the levels may have been good. But again, on paper, I would have said that yesterday and multiple times. On paper, Cameroon is the favorite, but maybe as a unit, you could see South Africa pulling this upset off if you want to call it an upset. And within the first 30 minutes of the game, South Africa was the better of the sides. I don't think I would be a liar to say such a thing. But it's interesting within all the things that I had brought up about South Africa in their potential of getting past the likes of a Cameroon, the talent. The talent level is something that you would see there. And the first half reminded me so much. Oh, camera. The first half reminded me so much of their matchup that they had in the semifinals versus Nigeria. And now that makes me think of Cameroon in the same breath that I thought about Nigeria in that last round, which is the windows that they were opening. I think if they had better finishing, South Africa is into the quarterfinals. It's not really revisionist history for the chances that they were creating. It was very similar to what happened to South Africa versus Nigeria. If they had better finishing, they beat Nigeria 2 years ago, and they're on to the finals versus Cote d'Ivoire. But finishing was the problem. Finishing for South Africa as a team, you see the ideas, you see the unit, they move with purpose, they move with intent, but the final third end product is not there. And that's going to be the frustrating thing with a side like that, where it's just you can see them, they look great, they're not intimidated by anyone on the pitch. But the second it comes to finishing, it's either set piece magic or you need a striker to really come in and perform and to showcase how well they are playing. And you didn't get that from South Africa today. The first half to me was a half of missed opportunities for South Africa. They had chance after chance. They had Cameroon on their heels, and ultimately they had nothing to show for it. And the next thing they knew, all it took is one deflection, one double bounce, and now this the result is they're down 1-0. And you didn't see them fully drop after that, but then you start the second half immediately conceding. That is that is tough. Junior scores in the 34th minute, and then Christian Kofan in the 47th minute. It's a quick turnaround to be down 2-0, then not really able to do anything else in the game until they score in the dying embers of that matchup. And so when we look at South Africa, I think the first thought process and the first thought bubble is, man, you know the players are on the same wavelength, but they need finishers. Whether they find that in the South African league, whether they can find that in recruiting in another dual national somewhere out there, we don't know. But that game was there for South Africa. The game was there for them. And again, this may come across as bitter, not the intent to do so, but the game was there for them. And ultimately, they have only if they finish, they would have something to show for it, but they didn't finish, and thus they sit where they do, wondering and pondering what could have been this competition. Also, side note, I have muted Mexican content creators for the next 36 hours because I know they'll be saying a bunch of stuff. But the end product is what really ended up. If you look at the statistics here, right? You see 18 total shots for South Africa, as you can see here, right? 8 off targets, 6 block shots, 12 shots inside the box, 6 shots outside the box, 8 shots off target. If we go even more specifically, again, this is based off what SofaScore. If you watch game, you may say there was more, there was less, but 28 touches inside the box. I would say, even if we break this down, I think I can break this down by half. This is really where the game was lost to me. The game was lost to me. Shots inside the box, 5 shots inside the box versus 2. Cameroon were 1 of 2 in the first half. South Africa were 0 for 5. That to me is where the game is lost. You cannot create chances like that and have nothing to show for it in this type of competition. The longer you go without, and we've seen this with many teams at AFCON, right? The longer you go without actually finishing your chances, I see smiles. I see smiles in here, and we're talking. And this is a perfect transition to jump into Cameroon. The more chances they miss, you leave the opportunities for a Cameroon, a team which has a better finishing, and they took advantage of it. Yo, Anu, I see you. You're in. Listen, look, prayer meeting worked for you, sir. Prayer meeting worked for you. Oh my God.
Hallelujah, bro. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. But how are you feeling after you see Cameroon get past South Africa? Because I was saying the first half, if South Africa finishes any of their chances, it's a different story. But this is the fickleness of this game. You miss a chance on one side, you flip over to the next, the other team takes advantage, and then now you're down after all that good work. What do you take from Cameroon in terms of what they did well to get this victory?
I mean, their dribbling was excellent.
Mm,
There was excellent. I was lucky enough to find another Cameroonian. I was watching the match, so
mm,
we were talking about how it's like South Africa was very accurate with their passes, but they just could not get the ball. As soon as one of our players got the hands on the ball, they just could not. They
mm.
could not get the ball off of them. It was like I mean, last time I used to see 2v1, 3v1. Dude, sure, Cameroon is on a roll, man, for real.
Mhm. No, that was a good point. When you're in these types of competitions, right? We always will say you're not going to get 5 chances, you're not going to get 10 chances. So you have to maximize the chances you get. And we saw Cameroon do that, right? 34th minute, Fafani scores, and then right at the start of the second half. Once You saw me in the group chat. The second they scored a second goal, because the way the game was going, I said it's either going to be a 2-0 win for South Africa or a 2-0 win for Cameroon. There's no in between. Now they gave the 2-1. So, yeah, again, don't take my betting advice. I'm not FanDuel. Don't trust me on those things. But I would say once they got that, it felt like the way that South Africa was finishing versus the way that Cameroon was taking advantage of their spots, this was going to be insurmountable. What else do you think helped lead them to the victory in this game here?
Dude, that defensive back front with no two with new basically just towing the line, man.
Hmm.
Towing the line. Shot like literally. I thought like with the way Bafana were Chris was passing, I was thinking this would be a huge threat, but they could not get past that wall, man. And our
Hmm.
goalie, I mean, shoot, like like I'm not needs to fucking humble himself. Shit. Oh,
Listen,
I'm sorry.
Onana's
I don't
playing
want
well.
you to be.
No, you're good. Don't worry about it, man. Hey, you speak from your
I
heart.
don't.
I'm not going to
Yeah,
stop you from that.
I don't want you to be demonetized. So
I'll live. I will live somehow.
yeah,
But no, I think the goalkeeping was there for them, right? And I mean, the joke is if Onana's there, then Cameroon are already back, and Bomo is running for Man United this weekend. But you guys got the saves that you needed. You got the goals that you needed. But then also that again, the back line deserves its flowers because the ideas were there for South Africa, but
yeah.
defensively, again, the angling, the defending, like you did say, they towed the line very well. And I think the
Oh,
result
you
is
got to reach
fair.
that dog.
Yeah. Like I think the result is fair for what they played, especially defensively in that half. So I think ultimately for them, that is a good result. I think again, the one concern I do have, you may be frozen here, so I'm going to keep talking, and at some point you'll either be frozen or you won't be. Um, the one concern I do have with Cameroon is the ideas that South Africa had. I think a team that can finish, and again, they're coming up against Morocco in the next matchup. I think Morocco buries those chances. And so if Cameroon's going to try to approach with a similar type of a idea and a similar type of strategy, I think if they do that against Morocco, I think they get punished versus Morocco. Like the similarity I see with South Africa, I felt the same way when South Africa lost to Nigeria in the last AFCON. I felt Nigeria, the chances you guys are giving up, get a team who can finish, they will make you pay for that. And that's my one concern with Cameroon. I feel that Morocco has more than enough firepower to take advantage of that. How do you feel now going up to that Morocco matchup? Do you think they can get the defensive job done, but then also defend well and get the result to go to the semis?
I'm sending them back home.
Hey, you gotta have that confidence.
I mean, shoot, man. Like the last stream, I was like, I mean, I was like, I'm very concerned about how this would go, but no, we're gonna send them home.
No, it's not a far trip for you then, man. And
Not yeah. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna send them home. You see my little header under there. What I
yeah,
said
I do.
about South Africa.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
way to the airport. Yeah, I see that.
yeah, yeah. We're just gonna send them home.
Uh, it is. I'm happy for you that you get the result. You have my concerns, which I have for them. For you, what
Mhm.
do you think for Cameroon is the key to get ready for Morocco? Like, do they need to have the same matchup here? Do you need more from your front players? Do you want the lead so then you can sit on that? Are you hoping to race out to 2-0 and say, listen, we'll take our chances with two? Or are you
We
saying
need a.
go from there? How,
I
how do
mean,
you think you should
after
approach it? Yeah.
you see, like you said again, there's like that attack will give us problems, but but when we look at it, Morocco hasn't really done any. It hasn't really done really anything special outside those bicycle kicks.
Mhm.
Literally, I mean, come on, you struggle a 1-0 win over Tanzania.
It's I said this in our chat and I'll say it here. I think pressure in AFCON is a different animal, and especially when you think it from the standpoint of the pressure of expectation. The crown of expectation is different for teams. when they reach this level. And I think Morocco is starting to feel it a bit, right? Because
Hmm.
yes, they went 7 points up, 2 wins and a draw against Tanzania. They got the goal. There's always a lot of tension with them because there's almost to a degree at their for who they've been for so long, that would have been a normal result, right? You wouldn't have been really mad about it. But because of the expectations we have for them, 1-0 isn't good enough anymore, right?
It ain't.
And that's where it becomes a problem, right? I see you with your Eagles with Jalen Hurts kid jersey on, right? And it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not just
Yeah.
yes, winning is winning, but at the end of the day, you've just come off of that success. You've come off of that high profile. The expectation and the standard isn't just, yeah, okay, you win 1-0. At the end of the day, the result is matters, but now the style points matter. And now it's a little bit more for them. And I think for Cameroon, they walk into this next matchup. I don't think they have that pressure on them. At the end of the day, they just walk in and say, hey, we aren't supposed to be. Half of you guys thought we would lose to South Africa. So we're not supposed to be here anyway. So let's just go out. We won't be intimidated by Morocco. And the longer they keep that game close, I think Morocco, the longer they go and they feel that pressure, and then either someone makes a mental lapse and you get the 1-0. Like that game is way too early. Cameroon versus Morocco is either going to be like a 1-0 win or it's going to be like a 3-0 win. Like I don't see it. I'm going to those extremes because I feel like Cameroon's going to take it in a goal, not a dash and grab, but like I think they will keep the pressure on, get a late goal and score, or Morocco runs amok. I don't really. It could be a banger of a game, but I think it's either 3-0 Morocco or 1 or 2-0 for Cameroon.
Yeah, man, for real, because it's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, the game's on Friday too, man.
Hmm.
Dude, the game's on Friday, bro. Like, it's gonna the pressure gonna be freaking is gonna be on, yeah,
Hmm.
for us. But to get that win over South Africa really was a confidence booster, and
Hmm.
shout out to Bafana. I mean, they had probably, like I said, they had the best locker room entrances I've seen. Completely in sync. I love
Yeah.
watching the videos. It's like they worshiping, but but I guess Cameroon's was just hiya,
Hiya! Just
hiya.
hey, you got we saw Eto in the crowd being happy for his players and the team, and that's great. But again, now you're just in the
Yeah,
spot. Yeah.
and it's crazy how this. I had a lot of questions about Eto when Eto coming into the thing because it started with the manager situation and the two
Yeah.
in the two rosters. I was like, bro, I don't want this drama today, man. Just come here and try to win this AFCON, man. And
Mm.
the like when I look at that roster, man, it's so many young players in it, man. Not every like barely any of them are like over 30 years old. And I
Yeah.
just say like this is what Eto is doing. I really appreciate what he's been doing. You know, just happy because we were just going, yeah, like with me and this other camera I was with today. I forgot his name. I'm probably going to see him again. And we were just going through the list. Like a lot of the players on this team haven't even played um haven't even played up to like five played so little games.
Hmm.
Oh, we have a lot of youth prospects. That 20-year-old, no, that 19-year-old we got from we have from Bayer Leverkusen. His
Yeah.
name is Christopher Money. Like I remember I watched to see Boniface, but dude, now I actually want to watch Leverkusen just so I can see how he plays.
No, it's definitely a fair point to bring. The drama that they came in to get to where they are is definitely good. I mean, at this point, it shows a little bit of vindication for Samuel Eto'o. At this point, I think it's more vindicated if they get past Morocco. Again,
Yeah,
they don't get to walk into that game without the pressure of the nation on them because Morocco is expected to make the final. Cameroon are just like we're here. So I think playing free and playing without that the crown of expectation, I think they can be loose and they can they can frustrate Morocco because Morocco is the team that is supposed to win. So they can play defensive. They can be a little bit, as we would say, the dark arts of African football, right? An extra elbow
Mm-hmm.
here, like an extra small push there, get under their skin and see what happens. But I think for you looking at that game, do you think they need to score early against Morocco looking ahead? Or do you think just holding on, keeping it as a nil-nil type game until you can find that breakthrough? What would you rather have
I
for
mean,
that game on Friday?
I'd rather sit and wait. I'd rather wait for the breakthrough because I know what this Moroccan team can be capable of. But at the
Mm,
same time, again, they haven't really put up an impressive like they haven't really put up an impressive victory
mm,
ever since since the opening match against Comoros.
okay. And that's fair. And so I think if you look at it from that perspective, any of the results, like I don't know if any result was good or bad. I think they're Comoros we expected more from. We didn't get the run that we wanted from them. Mali, again, Mali's in the quarterfinals, and that team drew Morocco well. And then Zambia did Zambia things. Copper heads, copper bullets, copper whatever. Copper is at home. And so I think for them, we'll get to Morocco in a minute here, but hey, I'm making sure I give you your flowers so you can enjoy this day just slightly, even if you can enjoy it a little bit more. Like I think for Cameroon again, they took advantage of the opportunities that they got. And again, not to take anything from South Africa. If South Africa has better finishing, it's a different game. But this game reminded me, and I said this at the top and when you came in, the way that this game was going, it reminded me of South Africa versus Nigeria in last year's AFCON semifinals, where South Africa has chance after chance after chance, but they just can't finish. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything else, the ideas were there. The back line looked good for what they were trying to do. There are some parts where you see there are differences in levels and talents and understanding the game. The football IQ definitely for the back line came through for Cameroon. But if South Africa has better finishing, it's a different game coming to. It's at least one, maybe 2-1. It's either a 1-1 or 2-1 if you're being conservative at the end of half. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
the slight concern is for me looking at Cameroon. If they give up those same chances to a team like Morocco, I fear that you won't be as fortunate in that matchup going through. So that's where I'm looking at that and saying they got it done. But if they do that, if you do that same thing again on Friday, I feel like Brahim Diaz wants to say, "I want five. I'd like to score in five straight Afcon games, please and thank you. May I score in five
Mm-hmm.
straight games?" And so that is my concern. But otherwise, the defense played well. They played their cool when they had to. You had South Africa frustrated coming into the end of those cards in the 60-80. That's just listen. Yeah, I get that. That's frustration overflowing onto the pitch.
Did you see your player touch the line, Judge?
Yeah.
I was like, that's a red. He glad the ref didn't see that.
Hmm.
That's a straight red. And that, I would just say that's frustration right there. Also, I am sorry to my Manchester United friends. Forgive me because Mabueno is going to be has to play another week at AFCON, and I know they needed him this morning against Leeds.
just throwing the shots in. He'll see it. He'll see it. Oh, but man, Bueno played well. I think that's a player to
Yeah,
cover. I
yeah.
don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how well you're gonna see me throwing this up here. So I'll just throw it up and talk through it. Some of the things again. We're throwing up sofa score for those of you who are listening to this again or watching this live, just to give us a bit of a breakdown of what we are seeing and kind of what the ratings would have been. But for South Africa, Baleba is your highest. And then I know Mpasi is the goalkeeper. He can't really do much on the goal that South Africa scores, but Baleba in the middle in what looks like their 3-5-2 defending. The midfield was strong because you saw South Africa not trying to go through it too often. It was a lot, especially at the beginning. It was a lot of just let's just go directly to the forwards and take our chances there. But I mean, if you get, even though the ratings don't show it, but if you get another solid performance from your wings, not your wings, but your midfielders, I think you have more than a chance against Morocco. The question is going to be,
Yeah,
don't give up those direct shots because I think they have again. With all due respect to Foster, Mokefong, and Apolis, those are good attacking players. Morocco's attacking players are a notch above that. Some may say several notches, and so those direct balls, if you guys can figure out how to deal with those, I think ultimately that improves things, their chances. But again, this is where we have, and this is where we are. He's hopping on and off for sure. We'll throw an Anu back in real quick here, but like I was
My
saying, I think
apologies.
no, it's all good. Hey, you got to
Yeah.
celebrate somewhere. I get you. You're high fiving
No, no,
anyone.
no. It's just no. It's like the thing just what the internet just went out for a minute.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
all good. It's all good.
yeah, yeah.
No, but I was saying like another solid performance from your midfield. I think you stand a better chance against Morocco moving there because as much as we want to, and like we'll start the transition for Morocco versus Tanzania. Like as much as we want to say yes, barely being Tanzania is not that much to go. It's a team that listen, they play with house money. You could argue the penalty that wasn't called for them. If that gets in, maybe it changes. Maybe they score it, maybe they don't. But that just becomes another what if in the tournament that we still ask the question: what is a penalty actually? I'd like to know.
I know.
Calling for a friend, asking for a friend. I'm the friend, and so I think Morocco gets past this their result and they face another side. I think Mali is a good team. I think most would take Cameroon over Mali. And so based off of that logic, you would say, okay, they have more than a fighter's chance against Morocco, but it's how do they want to play? Do they want to play where they give Morocco the respect, or do they just want to pressure them and say we don't respect your ability to play? And I'm using the word respect very loosely here, but if they respect their ability to pass and say, we think you can't break us down, try. Or if they say, we think we can play. If this game turns into an up and down, I think that would be good for Cameroon. If their matchup against, if it's an up and down transition, a fast break, a quick pace type of a game, I think Cameroon is fine with that game. They have the horses that can go and play that. Then that's gonna put the pressure solely on the back line defensively as well as the goalkeeper, right? Because if a posse can play with that well in that type of a game where it's listen, we'll try, but you're getting shots this game. If they can do that, they stand more than a chance. I don't think this is as easy as this isn't me predicting Morocco is going to just walk through Cameroon. Because again, I think I rate Cameroon higher than I rate Mali, and Mali gave Morocco work. And so, like, I'm sorry, they made them work for the draw. And so, looking at the matchup, I let me know how I'll let you know how I feel on Thursday. But right now, and the hiccups are killing me right now. But right now, I would say I can understand if you pick Cameroon and not you, because I know you're picking Cameroon. But I can understand anyone picking any sides of it. Right now, looking at that matchup, what's the most important thing as we transition to Morocco versus Tanzania here and Morocco versus Cameroon matchup?
Man, what we need is I need a prayer, man. That's it.
That's it. We're going back to prayer meeting. That's it.
We going back. Yeah, I know, right? This game played on this game was being played on Sunday. You know,
Yeah.
every South African, every Cameroonian church that we're gonna do. It's gonna be a Friday morning Bible study, man.
That would not surprise me whatsoever. But
Yeah,
let's get to Morocco versus Tanzania. Brahim Diaz in the 64th minute. In a game that if you just look at the stats, it was dominated by Morocco. Like looking at SofaScore as it's set up here, you're looking at numbers like 70% percentage, 70 possession for Morocco versus Tanzania. Tanzania said we're gonna hold out, and when our chances come, we gotta convert on them. And we'll talk about the penalty that wasn't, because if there's a buy story in this world in this AFCON, it's what is a penalty? We still don't know.
I know, right, man.
And like, let's actually
So,
ask. Let me ask you a question. Did you think it was a penalty? If there's an arm tug, the player goes down. Did you think that was a penalty?
dude, that was a penalty, man.
I think looking at it in looking, and this is the hindsight of replay. They don't even go to VAR for it, but looking
Mhm.
at it in full time, it's a tug and he goes down.
Yeah,
Respectfully for me, I want more in my penalty than that. Like,
because I mean, because like if you put it down, like if you have a what's it called when you tug that arm, especially especially when you have the momentum of your body
mhm,
going forward, that pullback just throws off,
it
or just
does.
throws you off. Like literally, I mean, I'm talking like a little bit of physics here, I guess. I don't know.
No, yeah,
A
and
little
that's
bit,
fair.
and pull him to the ground. That should have been that should have been a penalty. And obviously, I mean, the way the way Tanzania was playing, they were pretty much playing a bit like Japan when they
Mhm.
played in their World Cup. They were relying a lot on counterattacks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
defending well and then saying when we get our counter opportunities, you have to convert. And that was the thing.
yeah,
You
exactly.
have to be able to convert. If not,
Mm-hmm.
then you're all it takes is a bad bounce one way or the other. And I think that
I
to me
know,
was
right?
the thing for teams that have been able to do that well. Eventually they break. Like we haven't seen anyone defend against Morocco this tournament and be largely successful. Once you get to one or two, the game opens up and that's where it is. But I mean, statistics wise, again, a snapshot of what it is 12 shots total for Morocco versus four versus on for that only one goalkeeper save for Morocco needed. Three were needed for uh, Tanzania. And then just going to the stats, shots on target, 4-1, one woodwork from Morocco, touches inside the shots inside the box, 7-2. That tells me everything I really wanted to know about the game as it goes. It wasn't convincing because this just felt like, okay, you have a team here that's struggling to break down a low block. And so that's what you're going to get. You can get passing around, you can get the side trying to find an opening. And if you're quick on your angles, you can deal with them. You can deal with it well. And that's where the quickness and knowing the team, and that's how Tanzania has played the entire. This is nothing. It's not like Tanzania decided, oh, we're going to throw you off and do something. No, they've been this side the entire tournament. And so Morocco knew what they were getting. Tanzania knew what they were getting. And at the end of the day, they finally get the breakthrough in the 64th minute. And you're kind of sitting there wondering, okay, is this where the dam breaks? Is this where everything opens up a bit more? It doesn't. And so I'm I can understand people who will look at this result and say, hey, we wanted more from Morocco, but I don't worry about that for them here because they did what they were supposed to do. They got one breakthrough. You're hoping that maybe you get two, but you get the breakthrough. The pressure didn't seem like it was mounting too much from what I watched. Now, eventually, I mean, you know that pressure builds up there. But for Morocco, I wasn't disappointed in it. I think from a style points, like we said, the crown of expectations. Now that you have a side that we expect them to win, I mean, some people again are saying they're just going to sleepwalk their way through this and win this, as if Nigeria, Cameroon, Senegal, Egypt aren't other teams that say we have good players too, guys. Like respect us. But I'm not worried about Morocco yet. I think if the only worry I would have is the teams that were able to take the air away from them, they made them work a little bit more. And I think Cameroon has the ability to do that. So I think it's a good test. If Morocco passes this test, I don't look at them and say, okay, well, great, they're a great team. No, you're in the eliminations. You're at a competition. It's the same thing we say when teams go to World Cups. When you go to a World Cup, there's no hiding, right? There's no Lesotho in this tournament. All respect to Lesotho, right? In CONCACAF, there's no Cayman Islands or British Virgin Islands. All respect to those two islands. Once you're in the big competitions, everyone's a good team there. And so if you beat them
On the
1-0 or
on the
you
table.
beat them, yeah, 6-0, you beat them and you move on. Would you want it better? Yes, but the result matters in this case. And so for Morocco, Yes, the style points weren't there, but I mean, you also factor in Hakimi getting back on the pitch, his first start in months, and the more that him and Diaz get that partnership going, I think that only bodes well for them. I think it's a good, nice test for them. And Cameroon is, I think, the perfect team for them for us to say, okay, what do they do now? Can they look good versus a team that can kind of go band for band with them? I think talent wise, Morocco, I think, have better players. But if, like we said, if this game turns into a fast break game, if you look at the score at halftime and it's 2-1 or it's 3-2 by some shape, will Cameroon feel good about themselves? Depending on how those goals are scored, maybe. But when you look at Morocco, I know you're not as convinced with them. What are the concerns that you have for them in terms of them after they got past Tanzania, but then also getting ready for their Cameroon matchup?
I mean, like my expectations of Morocco. I mean, from what they have achieved in the last few years, especially after the momentum of their semifinal run, I
Mhm.
expected them to just clown everybody, just to clown everybody coming forward to them. And like I said, like you said earlier, about the pressure of being the home country, it's a home country, and you're also in the capital of one of you're in Morocco for the AFCON, so
Yeah.
you want to do better. I don't know what. I mean, I just sat there just saying, well, are they trying to like rely on? Are they relying too much on Hakimi? That's the question
Mhm.
to me, because I feel like they just waited for Hakimi. They were just waiting for Hakimi. They were just biding time for Hakimi to come on, and they said, "All right, we got Hakimi on. That's good." But I'm like, it doesn't really work like that. This is
Mhm.
exactly how I said. This is exactly how Argentina lost in the 2014 World Cup. They relied way too much on Messi, and when Messi didn't deliver, they lost in the final against Germany.
Mhm. I mean, I would also argue that if Argentina doesn't hit the crossbar and German goalie, who I was about to call him Oliver Kahn, but not Oliver Kahn. Um, Mine's going if they don't get those saves, it's a different game as well. But then it's a conversation on finishing, right? I, I
Mhm.
don't know if this Moroccan side is purely on waiting for Hakimi, but I do think there is an aspect of them that is very Diaz focused, right? The Brahim will
Mhm.
get the ball and then we'll try to create our in transition. I think they look better when they're flowing in that transition, whether it's in a build up or just moving quicker, they look better that way. But when you have to move it to a spot, it's find Brahim Diaz and then let's move it. Now it'll be interesting to see with Hakimi with another game if that partnership, if that symmetry with those two players on the right side, if that starts to build, then that's a problem. That's a problem for Africa, and that's going to be a problem for the world teams because that's a solid right side of overlap, and just that right side is fine. Like you don't need to think about it. But in terms of over reliance on players, I would say, can they get contributions? I know El Kabi has two bicycles,
Bicycles.
right? But can they get more contributions from around the team? Because the depth of the team is what makes it a fascinating side, right? Does that mean the veterans have to step up more? They also don't have Roman Sayas, or Sayas, if I'm saying that wrong, apologies. But not having him in the midfield does affect. Amrabat's been okay,
Mm-hmm.
but like you need something else for those teams to be successful, right? Because you can keep on going saying we're going to spam the right side until we create, and that can be successful at that point. But you also need the rest. It's 11 players on the pitch. You can't rely on the two and say you are going to save us, or you turn into, with all due respect to the other players, you turn into Gabon, and it's just Aubameyang and Dennis Bouanga save us every time, right?
I know, man. Shoot, just the fraud watch, man, for that team. Honestly,
Yeah, so I'm not so worried about like it's one game in. Have they looked the part of a dominant side? No. To make a CONCACAF comparison in terms of the crown of expectation, they feel like, and this may be right or wrong, but like they feel like a Canada where it's like, okay, now we are talking about you as a top three, as a top four nation in the region. Now, put the results in. And sometimes they'll beat a team 3-0, and Jonathan David will score up a couple goals, right? It's like the summer for Canada, right? They'll beat Ukraine 4-2, and they were up 4-0 in that game. And they're like, okay, Canada's arrived. And then they can't get past Guatemala because Guatemala just says, yeah, we know you want to run. We're just not going to let you run, right? And I think for Morocco, I think there's levels to this. I think Morocco is a better side overall and just player for player, I think, than Canada, speaking as a Canadian. But for Morocco, it's can they now win a game when a team says we're not going to let you do the thing you want to do? Because Morocco has shown that they can play in different styles, but in this game, in the games that are coming up, can they get the results without if Cameroon decides to say we're gonna take away the right side just because we can? If they're able to do that, can the left side of the pitch come and create? Can they get stuff from the midfield? Can Amrabat come back and be more effective in that sense? Does that mean they have to now look to some of their young players and say, are you guys the players who are going to push us over? That to me is a fascinating conversation with Morocco because the crown of expectation is on them. No one's denying it. And now it's how do you adjust when everyone knows what your fastball is? If we even do, right? They haven't been fully healthy yet. And we're going to wait and see how that looks. But I think for Morocco, they haven't been poor, but I don't think they've performed to our expectations of what their talent is. And with that, now they've entered the conversations of the Nigerias, the Senegals, the the Cameroons, the Egypts. When they win a game 1-0 versus a team that we expect them to win 4-0 against, we do talk about them as if, hey, was that what we needed? Was that what was going to happen? Or do we need more from you? And so heavy is the crown. Heavy is the one who wears the crown, and the crown of expectation is new for Morocco. We get to see them for the first time, how they adjust to it. And I think that matchup on Friday is going to be a fascinating one, no doubt, in terms of what they're able to do. Because if they get past Cameroon, I think you say, okay, yeah, they're doing well. I'm always one that says how you look to me matters a lot more than what the result is. And so if Cameroon beats Morocco, for instance, but then Morocco is they hit every part of the post, and then Cameroon gets their one chance and they score, it's 1-0, I'll be like, look, credit to them, but I liked what I saw from Morocco. If Morocco gets dominated by Cameroon, I'm not going to say fraud to watch, but I'm going to say maybe I need to lower my expectations for them to come to an international competition. In that same breath, I do say, as I've talked for like it feels like an hour, but I haven't.
I mean, if we send
Yeah.
them home, I wouldn't call them. I wouldn't call them. I wouldn't call them fraud watch. I just call it patch watch.
Fair.
Yeah,
That's
like, yeah, you. I mean, maybe I'll probably go. Maybe I'll go to a cigar bar and buy me a cigar and be like, you know.
I like to say this. Your guests don't know your schedule, but your neighbors know when garbage day is. Like, and I always say variations of it, and that's basically look in your own region. We can be like this team is supposed to do well, but this is Africa. Everyone knows who everyone is here in Africa, right? There's no surprises. There's no surprises, and I think Morocco will do good against international competition. Same way that I think that DRC will do great at the World Cup if they make it. But the difference between in an environment where not everyone's familiar with your game versus an environment where we know when garbage day is for you, you're not getting anything past us. So for a Morocco, look, they got the results. I'm fine with that. Cameroon, they get the result. I'm fine with that. I think I understand right now why some people might give it a slight edge or just say it's a 50-50 one way or the other. And that's fine. That ultimately is fine for them. I'm not worried about Cameroon. I mean, yeah, I'm not worried about Cameroon for them. If they do I'll ask you this question. If they do go on, if Cameroon goes on a deep run, maybe they make it to the AFCON finals, maybe they even win it. Are you happy or are you disappointed? Because this could be like we have two World Cup bound African sides who have been eliminated so far. And
If that
yeah,
happens, I will be. It'll give me some optimism.
True.
It will give me some optimism because it gives me the idea that Sam Eto is being serious,
Mm,
and we can work with this in the coming months because knowing how many African teams are playing in the World Cup, I would not be surprised if we play a few friendlies with some European teams that have
mm.
qualified,
Yeah.
and it gives me insight of how we're gonna play in the next AFCON when it's being played in East Africa.
Yep.
Yeah, in East Africa. Now, after this World Cup ends in 2026, it will be very interesting to see how some of those young players we have will develop. Because we have a few of them that are not even. We have a few of them that are in their early 20s.
Yeah.
Will they reach their? Will they start playing good at their? Will they hit their prime for 2030? That's the question.
Yep.
And like I said again, I completely take back a lot of what I said about Eto. That's like Eto. He's really making the abdominal lines proud. Something proud on this stage that we see
Hmm.
before us. Um, just I'm just that's all I'm saying. If we make it to that and we win the final, it would be just be jubilation to me. I would have just say you know what, this would erase Chelsea's abysmal season.
Now we're on Chelsea. Listen, hey, we're having a positive stream, okay? You don't
Yeah,
have a coach. Just keep it positive right now. Come on now.
I know, but I'm just saying because they were on earlier today, and literally you saw me not giving a damn because I was literally on my phone watching AFCON. I say no, I say screw this. I ain't watching this shit.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But no, I think it would definitely be a good step for them if they're able to do this and take that
Mm-hmm.
step forward and kind of move from that standpoint. Like, yeah, it'd be a good look, especially because, like you said, some of the young players that they have in this camp, they get to experience that's a great building block for them, and then it turns into a
Mm-hmm.
okay, the future project. Now you get to get more of those players in. I want to go back to South Africa for you because I want to ask you the question that I kind of went through earlier. When you look at that team, for now, there's no competitive games for them left until they get to the World Cup. So they'll have their
Mm-hmm.
friendlies and stuff. If there's one thing you could change about them to improve their World Cup stock, what's the thing? Is it a player? Is it a different shape? Is it something as broad and abstract like finishing? Like
They need to
what's
improve in their dribbling.
mm,
Their dribbling was awful. Like they were in synergy with their passing, but but when they came to the dribbling, we just mauled them we mauled them like who we are. We the indomitable lions.
mm,
We made Bafana look like banana.
yes. No, that's okay. So just their dribbling. To me, I don't know what they're. As I'm saying this, I'm literally looking up transfer market. And I'm like, second citizenship, South Africa.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, first, I'm just going by like one thing, really. That like you
Yeah,
need to work
and
on the
that's fair.
dribbling.
Mhm.
Yeah,
To me, it's finishing because, like,
yeah.
on the pitch, they have the ideas. Like, no one's. You can't look at that game and not say the first half. If they score goals in that first half, it's a different game. They don't do that, and they leave themselves open. When a team is that dominant and has nothing to show for it, like a prime example of that to me is you go to last World Cup, you watch Belgium versus Canada. Like Canada was buzzing in that game. They couldn't find the goal. Belgium gets their one chance, they score, and that's game. And that's 1-0. And Canada looks so good. And everyone's talking about, oh, look how good they looked and everything. Is like at the end of the day, the one chance they had, they couldn't convert. And
That's
if you were
crazy.
telling me, yeah, if you're telling me that South Africa, Bafana Bafana are gonna move like that unit, If they're gonna move with it that quick, they're gonna move the ball quick. They have the ideas, try to get the ball to their playmakers in that sense. If they get it, please just finishing. I'm not even saying turn the meter up to 100. Turn the meter up to 50 because they were over. They like the first half, nothing. 50%, give me turn it to a 50 or I'm sorry, let me be respectful. If they were at a 50, turn it up to like a 62 to 65, then all that good play you can finally get results for the game. And that to me is what South Africa is missing because I still trust Ronan Williams as a goalkeeper. I think
Yeah, yeah,
defensively, I mean, they get outdone, they get undone by a bad bounce deflection, and that gets finished midway through the first half. But their finishing, my goodness, if they had finishing, it'd be a different game altogether. And so for me, I look at South Africa, I say, if they just go to the South African League and say, top three strikers in the league, we are bringing them to the World Cup because we need people who can put the ball in the net. Or if they spend the
yeah,
next 5 months going to transfer markets like I am and typing in second citizenship South Africa and saying,
yeah.
who can we find?
Because
If
right
they
now
can,
they need a
yeah,
freaking. Because I mean, they got that their opening match against Azteca, man, against Mexico.
yep,
Against Mexico first, like the first time, like, and that's crazy because that was the opening. Because that was the same
match in
opening match from
2010.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, opening match 0-1. And what's in the Johannesburg or Cape Town? I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but I remember watching it.
Yeah, and they scored that screamer, and that dance was basically going all around the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
So man, they gotta, yeah, like I said, they need to, like you said, they need to start looking to the diaspora.
Again, they do. Maybe again, like I said, maybe all they do is they go to the South African League and say, best three strikers, we're bringing them in. Or they just go
Yeah.
and look diaspora wise because that to me is the thing that has stopped them the last few years from being more successful. They just don't have the finishing. And if they
Mm-hmm.
could get the finishing, if they could find finishing based off how they play together, because you can see they're all on the same wavelength in terms of movement, ball, and everything, but they don't have the finishing. Find me some
Yeah, I mean,
finishing, they they become a respectable team at the World Cup, and maybe they still will be that. We'll have to wait and see, but they that's what they're missing. If they could just
mm-hmm.
get that, open so many doors for them, but we have to wait for them to go. And Tanzania, any thoughts on Tanzania here? What they did well? I mean, they played defensively. They're one of the teams that doesn't score. I'm sorry, they do score. They don't win a game, but they get enough draws to make it through. What does Tanzania have to do to improve for the next AFCON as it gets coming?
I mean, clearly speaking, I really don't really have an idea with them. The fact that their defensive unit is good, but you can't win in competition. You can't win in a competition like that by just holding yourself down. You know,
Mm,
they need to figure out how to. You need to figure like they just like South Africa. No, actually, not even just like South Africa. Really, what they need an attacking midfield
mm,
heavily. They're heavily, especially, and they have to, of course, remember they're the next host of the AFCON, so they got to find a way to show out, and that's another problem. I feel like the host nations are gonna fail to our expectation, like how Nelson was about Kenya,
mm-hmm.
you know. And what's crazy is how it is like that is like a lot of more East Africa is football crazy, man.
Yes.
But they're but it's football crazy, but their national teams are just awful.
It's the worst combination. Everyone's into the
Yeah,
sport, but there's no team for them to cheer for. But again, because of how Africa is and how it is, you can find East African players on all teams if you're looking. I'm looking through this. I'm like, oh, Lesotho has this. Good for you guys.
yeah.
Good for you as you run it.
What
Ah,
what's funny is I was trying to explain Cameroon's win win against them, and this other my friend who's my friend who's Indian, said
Mm.
I knew we don't want to be talking about quit talking about soccer like soccer. What do you mean? This is America. I was like, yo, wait, hold up, man. Cameroon soccer is good, unlike India. Yeah, unlike Indian football. She got real offended by that, but I said it's true.
See, now,
I
now,
mean,
now
all
you're
they
just
do.
picking fights on the weekend. Oh, Yanu, how could
I
you?
mean, like, dude, that is a country that's obsessed with
Mm.
football, especially with Lionel Messi. We all saw what happened over there in
Yeah, that's
India.
true.
And I mean, no disrespect to the no disrespect to the statue. I thought that was really cool, but at the same time, is you cannot be spending all this money on spend all this money on in crap and
Mm.
not do anything to develop your football nation.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's fair. And I think, and that's where South Africa's choice gets really interesting because they do have the domestic league that can do it. So again, whether the choice is you go to your league and just say find the players who can put the ball in the end, because Foster wasn't bad, like Lyle wasn't bad, but Lyle, you needed better finishing. The nine, the name is escaping me for South Africa. He had like two to three
I think
chances in the
that's
first half, and just nothing came from them. And that's a frustrating thing when you see yourself playing that well, but you don't have something to show for it. Those are the games that are frustrating because you know the chances that are there. It's not a game where it's just, hey, it's 0-0. You had one glorious chance and you missed it. They were dominant in the first half up until the goal. And I think for South Africa, again, we go back to the point, find some finishing. Whether it's this group, whether it's another group, whether they have to look at the U20s possibly, because I know they had some good. We even have to look U17. Find some finishing. Find anyone who can give you some finishing and get them into this team because you see how good of a unit they are when they're all on the same wavelength. They may not have the top end, quote unquote, talent, but they have the talent, but they have the understanding on how to play. And I think that'll serve them well. But you don't get style points when you go to these competitions. You get results points. And they looked good. They were trying to play with some flair, but at the end of the day, you're one goal down and you lose 1-0 to them. And when they get to the World Cup for South Africa, it's the same thing. They could beat Canada. Like South Africa is a team I feel could have like the Canada run last time where all three games they look good in stretches of it. But you look at it and it's 0-0-3 and maybe a -2 goal differential, right?
Mm-hmm.
South Africa has the talents to play with some of the good teams in the world. But the finishing is the thing it's the thing that will betray them. And so for
Mm-hmm.
them, South Africa, you have time, whether it's the SPL, whether it's looking through the diaspora, find players who can finish, add them to the squad because I think that could do a lot for their chances. And again, you have a third place slot to come through at the World Cup. So I don't worry about them at all. Just improve that spot. And I think their chances will do well because if you do that to a team, the ideas were there. They just don't have the results for it. Before we wrap up, the matchups tomorrow get spicier, as you know. Every time we'll talk about the matchup still, regardless. Have you changed your mind on any of the games coming up tomorrow? And then as well, we'll just do tomorrow. We won't go too far ahead. You have
I
Egypt
know.
and then.
I know.
Mhm.
I know. I still got Nigeria. I still got
Yeah.
Nigeria over Mozambique.
Mhm.
Okay, that's gonna be the main match. I forgot who else. I forgot the other matches tomorrow.
It's
Yes.
Egypt Benin. Egypt Benin. Yeah.
Ooh, two giants. I think,
Mhm.
but I think Nigeria has the easiest draw, but Benin could be some tricksters.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be some tricksters like I don't know that Egyptian defense was pretty good in the group stage. What was the Egyptian defense could be a problem, but Benin can find a. But I think Benin can do something crazy in that first game. But Nigeria, like I said, Nigeria has more pressure, as much pressure as
Mhm.
the Moroccan team. So it's going to be that's going to be a very fun game to watch tomorrow.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good point. I see a comment here coming in on Foster and his sides. Like I think that's a fair like Foster to me is poor in this game because I was trying to figure out who was who because Foster was poor, right? KGIC over here with the South Africa's good, but our problem is using players like Lyle Foster. You needed finishing. Everything else you guys did in this game was good in that first half. The fact that you weren't
Yo.
up by the time Cameroon scored, that just speaks to the lack of the final product, and that's what betrayed you
Mhm.
at the end of that
And
game.
and keep in mind, Foster was the one who grabbed the rest of that line judge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Listen, Lyle
he
is having the
he
time of his life.
he risked getting a red card. If the ref thought that's over for that would have been
Mm-hmm.
for South Africa.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. And yep, the point coming style of play in Europe is different. He can't match our standard of play. That's an interesting point. Makoba got 10 minutes and still scored, and he looked better in that sense. And like before this turns into the classic conversation we have in Africa, which is domestic versus non domestic players, locals versus dual nationals, whatever it is. Where do they fit within the system? That's always going to be the question because Foster was poor in this game, and if he finishes anything, there is that. Yep, and Steph, you said this today, and that's true. The difference between those two is that your top players, and this is where South Africa didn't have it, your elite players pushed you over the level, right? That's the difference. Salah Marmoush and Trezeguet, those are good players to elite players, right? In,
Mhm.
in world in world standard, but also within their leagues. And South Africa doesn't have that. Does that mean they need that to
No,
be successful? No. But it does mean like Lyle, you need more from Lyle in that sense, right? You needed more from Lyle, and you didn't get that, right? You needed more from going back to that because I just forgot your name. The 9 and the 10, Mofokeng. You needed more from him, and you got nothing,
mhm.
right? If your substitute comes in and scores, that should tell you how good you've been doing. That you can claim, oh well, we got the team ready for it. No, first half the game was there for them. And the more I'm talking, the more I'm disappointed and I'm annoyed at South Africa because it's a game where you see it. The game was theirs for the taking, and they just couldn't take it. They couldn't grab it by the cuff. They couldn't grab it by the collar. They couldn't do anything. And Cameroon were just like, well, you gave us an opportunity, and we'll put it in. And then once it got to 2-0, the game was done. Truthfully, once it got to 2-0, the game was done. But yeah, Benin versus Egypt is an interesting one. I think Benin will be uncomfortable for them. For Egypt, I think Egypt still gets it over the line and like that, and like a 2-1 in a result like the Cameroon South Africa was in a 2-1 type of a game that goes through. I mean, maybe they score, Benin scores a late goal, or Benin scores early, and then Egypt has to come back and then win that game. But I think Egypt wins that, and then Nigeria v Mozambique. Honestly, it should be Nigeria. I know there's a part of me that hopes for chaos all the time, but this should be Nigeria. It should be Nigeria, no questions asked. And if it's not, we will have questions among questions. Before we do log off this, guys, if you are watching this, thank you again. Please kindly leave a like, comment, and subscribe on this channel as well as Anu's channel. What's your YouTube channel, real quick, one more time?
YouTube. YouTube. I'm not really active like that on YouTube.
Okay,
It's just an account. You can see you see my underscore. My name on it is my Instagram. You want to go it? That's my
perfect.
Instagram, and then of course the Atlanta Blue CFC on Instagram. That is the other page I run. It's the official Chelsea Group of Atlanta.
Yep.
We do watch parties for every Chelsea match during the weekends. We can't really do weekdays because we all have to work. And then of
What?
course I do, and then also I do footy rants with TKO FTC UTD. I think I'm gonna do a video later on today about the recap
Mm,
of the quarterfinals. I mean the first round of 16 games this weekend because they were just straight up bangers.
yeah.
Have a good night, everybody. All right.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I see. If you gotta hop off, that's all good, man. I can wrap this up here
All
if you want.
right.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.
All right. So that
Airport
was
this way.
we have Indomitable Lion who was very happy with his win there. But yeah, we got some other comments here. We'll talk about them as they get here. AFCON was scam. We did talk about that. Tanzania was robbed. This should have been a penalty. As much as I think it was a soft tug, it's still a foul in the box, and you need to call that. But then that continues the conversation we had at AFCON, which is what is a penalty? I'll hang up and listen. We still don't know what a penalty is because there's not been a consistent one for a penalty call, and that is frustrating in that sense. And I know South Africans have had their issues. I think the only team that consistently gets penalties have been the North African sides. I'm not trying to say think conspiracy theory or put your tinfoil hat on, but I'm just saying that team has been the side that those teams have gotten the most consistent ones. And so that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on. And then for yes, the two African World Cup teams, we've had two gangs sent to Cabo Verde. There's definitely chaos happening, sure. Tunisia is a side that I'm I won't lie to you. Of all the African teams going to the World Cup, Tunisia is the one I trust the least. I trust Cabo Verde doing better at the World Cup than Tunisia does. I just do. Because at least you see some offensive potential in play and some flair there. I'm not sure what you're going to see out of Tunisia other than a goal and then holding out for a win. Listen, you find me an African tournament and you tell me that, oh, the hosts don't do well? Huh. Find me that, and then I'll tell you that I'm not surprised. But Egypt, I think, if you want to say if you want to say there's a narrative for that, again, I'm not suggesting that it is. I'm just saying they're not doing a good job of convincing people that it's not. But Morocco, you want your host to do well because that's going to fill the stadium. And then you go to Egypt. If Egypt goes deep in this, listen, we all know who we're sending our AFCON is a real tournament ads to. So I don't need to speak about he who shall not be named, but we're going to be feeling that way one way or the other. But I think overall, if they could, I don't know what they're going to do with the penalties issues because we still don't know what a penalty is. But if they can figure out the games, I think overall have been entertaining, minus that in the group stage, that Zambia versus Comoros game, that game was breath I can't take back. And then Mali versus Tunisia had a great ending, but we have to wait 90 minutes for anything to happen in that game. So if you're telling me that one side is rigging it, I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying they're doing a terrible job of convincing us that they don't. But again, to remind you of what is coming, if you guys got any more questions for me, we're going to do this every day for the games around this time, about an hour from now. So it'd be 5 p.m. on an Eastern time, depending on where you are, Eastern in North America. And then do that with that time as you will, kind of moving from there. But we're going to do our best to cover everything. Again, reminder for the games that are coming tomorrow, and then also on Tuesday. Don't forget, here's what we have. And let me throw that up for you so you all can see this well and into it. Reminder again, games that we have coming up tomorrow. We have Egypt and Benin as the first matchup here, followed by Nigeria and Mozambique. And then on Tuesday, I think these are two lovely matchups coming up for round 16. Probably the matchup of the round, Algeria versus DR Congo. I think it'll be a fun game again. And then Egypt, and then Cote d'Ivoire versus Burkina Faso or Faso coming in on Tuesday. I think those are going to be two good matchups. You any of those two, pick any of those four teams and move on. I will not argue with you one way or the other. KG, I see you. Another question: what's your take between Cameroon and Morocco? Because I'm sure we're going to see a lot of drama. We talked about this earlier, but here's a recap of my thoughts. If I look at matchups, if we can come to the agreement that Mali is not as good as Cameroon, if we can accept that notion, then Cameroon versus Morocco will be a much more even match than some may give it. I know right now Morocco feels like we get talked to as if they're the golden child. Like you all have that cousin that your aunts and your uncles and your parents always tell you, "Oh, why don't you be more like them?" That's Morocco right now. Morocco is just okay. They host all the things. Their grass is beautiful every right. Their grades are great. They have a GPA. They're married with 3 children. They're a doctor and a lawyer. That's how people talk about Morocco in African circles right now. And to a degree, they've done a good job of doing so. I think if if you're Cameroon, you have to decide. If you are Cameroon, you have to decide if you're going to play Morocco more straight up and say we are fine with this being an up and down game, a game of full of transition, a game full of chances. Because I think Cameroon can play that game. I think they're comfortable playing that game. Now, on the flip side, the other option is you want to sit down, maybe not a full low block, but a mid block, and dare a Morocco who have been more of a defensive side growing up, know they have more attacking talent now. I think if you can get them to say, we don't think you can break us down, especially with your midfield. Amrabat hasn't been great. Sayas is out. And so maybe it's you challenge them to beat you through the middle, and then you trust that your midfield can outwork their midfield and then create opportunities from there. I feel if Cameroon wins this game, it's going to be similar to like it'll be similar to how South Africa beat Morocco in the last AFCON. It'll be 2-0 set piece goals or goals off a set piece going there. If Morocco wins this matchup, I think it's in a scenario where they Cameroon tries to outscore Morocco, and Morocco can kind of beat them that way. Because if the chances that South Africa are creating are available for Morocco, I think they bury those chances. And if South Africa buried their chances earlier, I think that game is at least 2-1. Maybe if you want to be aggressive, 3-1. Conservatively, it's a draw. If they have better finishing, they're there. And so if those channels are available for Morocco, I think that's asking for 2-1, 3-1 in that type of game. But I do think Cameroon can play that type of a game. But I think asking them to play that up and down, I think Morocco would much rather play a little bit more up and down with the talent that they have on the pitch, especially with Hakimi being back. But if Cameroon wants to compress the pitch a bit, make them have to break another low block, I think the pressure, and it's something I've said a lot in this video, the crown of expectations is different for teams. We haven't seen a team in AFCON and Africa really repeat since Egypt decided that they owned the 2000s and the early 2000 teens. And so Morocco is a team right now finally sitting with the crown of expectation. Not Nigeria. Senegal has it as well. Egypt has it because of the headlines with Salah. But Morocco, this is the first time in a bit where we look at them and say, no, 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 no. We expect you to beat everyone. So the fact they only beat Tanzania by 1, people will look and say, ooh, are there shambles? So I think there's definitely going to be drama. I think if Cameroon wins this, it's either 1-0 or 2-0. I think if Morocco wins this, it's going to be a higher scoring game, like a 4-2 type game, out 4-3 ish. Like I think if they played straight up and play up and down, 6, 7, 8 goals, because the Cameroonian goalkeeper will actually have to see him with those types of chances to go through. He didn't have to make a save because South Africa was so poor in their finishing, but I think the higher scoring the game is, Cameroon can play it, but I trust the talent because of the chances that they gave to South Africa. I trust Morocco in that sense more. But if I had to say percentage wise, it's I'm like I'm 55-45 leaning Morocco versus Cameroon. I think Cameroon can beat this side. That's how I feel about it. Steph, I see you. Mali was more disciplined. Cameroon was shambles for the first half hour. Cameroon were in shambles. And again, that's where the point of if they gave up the chances that they gave up, if they give Morocco the same South African chances, it's 3-0. It's or 2-0 if you want to be conservative, or at least 1-0 if you want to be realistic. And so that for me is where I look at the game and say, I think that's where I, even though Morocco haven't looked the full dominance, hey, people are looking at Morocco, talking like Morocco and say they have to be like a Brazil now and beat everyone 4-0. That's where I draw the line in terms of possibilities. Listen, I listen. If there's one thing, KG, you're saying watch out for Mozambique. Also, Nigeria might struggle to win. Mozambique have showed they can score. And listen, with Nigeria, anytime they walk into a matchup and people say, "Oh, this is Nigeria will win this easily," it's a struggle 1-0 win. I think this might be the game that we're all watching, saying if there's a possibility of the 4 games left, I think this is the only real upset that's left. To be perfectly honest, maybe you might say if Benin beats Egypt just because of the names that Egypt has, but if Algeria versus DR Congo, DRC, RDC, either one of those teams winning isn't a surprise. Burkina Faso versus Cote d'Ivoire, some may say Cote d'Ivoire should be the favorite, but Faso or Cote d'Ivoire winning, no surprise. Mozambique might be the biggest upset left in this competition. And if that's the case, you know what you're getting with Nigeria. Nigeria are going to play well for 40 to 60 minutes, and then the car's in neutral and it's rolling. And whatever the other team gets in that time, they're going to get. And so if the game is 0-0 at that point, listen, you this game is either going to end like a 2-0 win for Nigeria or another game of context. Think of the last World Cup when Saudi Arabia beats Argentina in the group stage. And I use that game specifically because Argentina were the more dominant team in that game. And then you had that 10 to 15-minute stretch where Saudi Arabia found one, found two, and then that was game. That's what you're going to get with a Nigeria game. And so Mozambique is really the last real upset opportunity. That in the Benin. Tomorrow is your last real upset if you're looking for the chaos in that sense. But I mean, if I play the what if game, like, what's the story? The headlines are going to be, yeah, Steph says Nigeria should have no problem putting 3 goals in the net. Now, Steph, just for comic and clarification, does that include own goals, or is that just for them? Because hey, Sudan called and they said up until the round of 16, we live off own goals. But no, I think it's a fair point to bring. I would love to see Mozambique do it. I think Mozambique have the scoring ability, and I think it'll it could either turn to a game where it's just Mozambique is trying to push, but similar to South Africa versus Cameroon, you have teams that are having the right ideas but just don't have the talent to execute it. Or it might just be, or it just be a conversation of talent matters overall, which what we say. I see KG again. Nigeria needs new players. Those players are tired and they're getting old. One thing that we had, and I posted the clip on the channel here from our conversation yesterday. Who's the leader for Nigeria? Right? Who is the player who's going to galvanize them? Or at the worst case scenario, who's the player that they're all playing for? Because I think I've made points on Nigeria where I say maybe it's the coaches, right? We didn't like the other coach, but they made the AFCON final. So we give him his props. They bring in Findy George and they blow the first half of World Cup qualifying. They bring in Eric Shell. They don't play well until their backs are against the wall. The Federation plays a role in this, no doubt. But man, for these players, it's between the ears. For this Nigerian crop, it's between the ears, right? You can bring in the right, and maybe they bring in the right coach at some point and then finally unlocks the potential. But for this Nigeria side, it's between the ears. There's no reason why a team this talented would go through stretches like they do. And the one other clear thing is, I used to joke with, I would say this all the time. Nigeria has has more strikers available to them than some teams have quality players. Doesn't matter if between the ears isn't there, it's gone. But there was a clear hierarchy, and right now, Osimhen is that hierarchy. There is a drop off from him to the next one. And I think that matters. The only squad that Mozambique beat was a retired Gabon side. Maybe. But in the same breath, Nigeria needed additional time, added time to beat that retirement squad. And so if Mozambique beat them, maybe Nigeria should be on upset watch. On paper, it should be Nigeria. Don't get me wrong. On paper, it should be Nigeria, but this is AFCON. And it's the 2025 AFCON. And in 2025, you take whatever is logical and you throw it out the window. And so I think you go with. I won't be mad if someone picks Mozambique. I pick Nigeria. Apparently, for branding purposes, I always go against Nigeria. But if you're going common opponents, right? It took Nigeria 120 minutes to finally beat and put away Gabon. Mozambique did that in 90. So, am I saying that they're a better team? No, I'm not saying they're a better team. But I am saying they're on upset watch. They most certainly are on upset watch. And with that, guys, we are going to wrap this here. We're going to come live every day an hour early. So we usually go 90 minutes. I was going to go a little short, but I like the conversation we were having, the questions you had. So I appreciate that again. If you haven't already, make sure you leave a like button on this video. It just helps with the visibility. And then also run me back subscribers. I was trying to hit 2025 by the end of 2025. We didn't reach that goal. And so we're adding to this. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of this year. So if you like this content, if you like anything that I do here, I do primarily Canadian African football content, both men and women's. So when WAFCON comes this summer, I'll be talking about that. When the World Cup comes, I'll be talking about that. Friendlies as well, we'll be talking about it. It's not just me. We got a host characters here. Watch some of the old content. If you like it, hop on as well. But we will be back here tomorrow, 5 p.m., between 5 and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in North America. A couple more comments before we wrap this up here. AFCON has been surprisingly consistent. Is this the first time the top 12 sides all qualified? Oh, true. Ghana's not a top 12 side. I was gonna say Ghana's not there. Ghana is by name a top 12 side, but they didn't qualify. So yeah, but then Cabo Verde didn't qualify either. So that could be a thing for them. But I think the top teams that we've seen have performed to standard, which is usually odd. Last AFCON, we had Algeria getting grouped. We got Ghana being left in the group stage. We saw Morocco losing around the 16. There's always usually an upset, and maybe one comes soon, but we haven't seen it yet. KG with it. They also need, in terms of Nigeria, they need a leader in the field. Bassi is too quiet, and Osimhen can't lead the team from the front. Coaches are important, but the leader on the field is more important. I agree. Because every other team that we've seen, yes, they may have leaders from the front, but in those places, you definitely see who are the important players for Nigeria. There's no doubt for that. But with that, guys, thank you so much. As we did see, Cameroon did the work and Morocco got the results at the end of the day. So we have two more teams onto the round of 16. Congratulations to Morocco and Cameroon. They join Mali as well as who is the I've already forgotten the other group. We're gonna throw that up just to be sure here again. My ADHD is very real. And Senegal, of course. Those two are off. So because the matchups are paired, Senegal will be playing Mali, and then Morocco will be playing. Cameroon, and then the winners of tomorrow's matchups will play each other, and the winners of Tuesday's matchups will play each other in the quarterfinals. Friday and Saturday, we will have post game reactions to that, and we will talk about it as it goes. So make sure you guys hang around, stay here, like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate everyone who stopped by, and as always, I'm just gonna stop talking right now.